Hello there! Welcome to my show, COVID-19 Update by Heerak for November 2nd, 2020. It's a day before Election Day. I hope that you will vote for me for Virginia's 8th District, United States Representative or U.S. Congress. It's the same thing, United States Representative and U.S. Congress. Um, so just write in my name, Heerak Christian Kim. Make sure you spell it right for Virginia 8th District, U.S. Congress. As you know, I have sued Governor Ralph Northam of Virginia and Virginia Department of Election to have my name put into the ballot on June 3rd, 2020. But because of COVID-19, everything has slowed down. Um, yeah, what can you say? COVID-19 controls a lot of things now. So just write my name in. Um, and if it's God's will, I win. If I win, I'll go to U.S. Congress and do what I can to save you from COVID-19. It's getting worse. You should expect COVID-19 to be with us for the foreseeable future. Dr. Fauci is saying at least until 2022, but probably far longer than that. So that's something that you can expect. Um, yeah, it's sad, but it's true. What can you say, right? It's a global pandemic. COVID-19 is a virus that's a killer virus that infects and kills people. And it mutates and evolves to be more efficient in what it does, which is to infect people and kill people, right? That's what COVID-19 is. So, yeah, what can we say? It's going to continue on. We had HIV virus for decades, and it hasn't gone away. It still infects hundreds of thousands per year, or maybe more. It kills hundreds of thousands per year. And we have hepatitis C virus, which kills over 100,000, hundreds of thousands every year. And decades of research has not produced um, a vaccine that works. So don't count on COVID-19 going away anytime soon, or there being a vaccine that works. It's unfortunate but true. So tomorrow's election day. It's exciting. It's already 7th month anniversary. Yeah, I'm excited. My gosh, it seems like yesterday that we started this show, April 2nd, 2020, and now it's already November 2nd, 2020. Time flies, doesn't it? 7 months from now, we're going to be in summer, right? Basically, you have December, January, February, March, April, May. Okay, it won't be quite summer, but close to summer. Um, I guess maybe 8 months later we'll be in summer. Um, yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Summers are better. COVID-19 is not going to go away, but at least it's safe to be outside and you know uh, swimming. And as long as you social distance outside, there's no ceiling, there's no walls. So COVID-19 will just like either go down or go up to sky, right? So it's kind of safe outside. Um, yeah, so at least you can have fun at the beach, right? So that's coming, yeah, but that's like 8 months away. That's if you survive, right? Because you may not survive. Um, yeah, I mean, you have something to look forward to, right? I love to marry a woman who looks like that, right in the center, under campus clothes. I'm not married. I've never been married. I don't have any children. And I guess it's like, all the guys hope and dream that they could find a woman who looks like that and marry her. Men are men, whether they're Christians, non-Christians, Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Jewish, doesn't matter. Men are men. Men like women for their physical beauty. And that's the most important thing for the man, right? And obviously, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but there are women like her, I think, 100% or nearly 100% of men agree she's beautiful. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, there's such thing as an objective beauty. Yeah, I'm looking forward to June when we have all these beautiful women in the beach. Hopefully, the women will not be gaining weight during COVID-19, being locked inside at home. Make sure you get a treadmill and exercise bike so you don't get any weight, and make sure you weigh yourself every day. Because weight you know, getting fat, that's like the worst thing that could happen for a woman. So yeah, because being thin is like half the battle to being beautiful. And obviously, to be healthy, you should be thin, right? So these are important things. Um, yeah, so I hope you will be well and uh, keep your weight down. You know what I mean? Stay off the ice cream, stay off the cheesecake, stay off a lot of sweet things. Yeah, you need to watch your figure if you're a woman, because the most important thing for a man is your face beauty and your body beauty. That's the most important thing for all men. It doesn't matter if they're super duper Christian or if they're like super duper pagan, super duper Muslim. It doesn't matter. God created men that way, and the most important thing for a man is a woman's beauty. That's why, men, when you see like romance movies, guys say, "Oh, you're the most beautiful woman in the world," blah 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 blah. Physical beauty is very very important, and of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But I mean, you must have something to work with. You know what I mean? So keep your weight down. If you keep your weight down, that's like half the beauty. When you are thin, your beauty in your face is accentuated. Your physical body, has a form. But when you're like fat, it's like one big, pineapple. You know what I'm saying? Everything kind of blends together, and that's never good. Let's go and compare the data from COVID-19. Um, April 2nd, United States had 5,911 COVID-19 deaths. Can you believe that? Only 5,911 deaths. The world had 52,972 deaths, right? That was only like what, 7 months ago. And United States COVID-19 cases were at 244,678. And in the world, we had 1,014,673 cases. So about 4%, 4%, or 25%, one fourth was in America. Um, as you can see from November 2nd, that ratio is kind of maintained, right? Uh, 46,834,826 cases. United States had 9,268,896 cases, so about one fourth or 25%. So the number of cases have stayed similar, um, and the number of deaths have been kind of staying at around 20%. So on November 2nd, today, you have 1,203,958 deaths in the world. In the United States, you have 231,320 deaths, right? So around 20% of all COVID deaths in the world is in America. So it stands to reason if we have 10 million deaths in the world, about 2 million will be in the United States. You see how that works? Let's just compare every month to see what happened. On April 2nd, the ratio wasn't like that. It was more like 10%, right? 5,911 deaths in the United States to world's 52,972 to deaths in the world. But COVID had just arrived in America at that time. So it's you know it was the beginning stages in America. So let's look at May 2nd. May 2nd, we have 66,000 364 deaths in United States. So in 1 month, uh, you had like what, 60,000 deaths in the U.S., right? Um, and it was like middle of the flu season or end of the flu season. So it's not like middle. So it's not going to be as bad as middle flu season, but end of flu season, tail end of the flu season. You can have like 60,000 deaths, right? COVID-19 just arrived in America like in March or in the East Coast. There was some in Washington State, but the world death on May 2nd was 243,355. So, by that time, it's around 25% of the deaths um, are in U.S. So, starting from May till now, U.S. has had between 20% to 25% of the death in the world. Like, so if COVID-19 death were 100 in the world, we'd have like 25. That's what I'm saying. So that ratio has been maintained since May till now. So we expect that to be maintained. On May 2nd, in the US, we had 1,127,712 cases. Uh, to world's 3,421,083, cases. So COVID spreads from people to people. So people have to come in contact with people for it to spread. So it doesn't spread necessarily very fast in the sense like, because people have to talk and the person who has it has to give the person who doesn't have it. It takes time. Um, but we see it accelerating, right? And in June, now we enter summer. In the summer, ideally you have zero cases. That's how it was with Spanish pandemic, right? In 1918, in the summer there really wasn't anything. Um, but unfortunately for us, COVID-19 turned out to be 365 days a year virus and not a seasonal virus. So it starts spreading also in the summer. So look at this. From May 2nd to June 2nd, we have around 40,000 deaths in 1 month. So 106,180 people have died in the US. And compared to the world, which was 380,180 deaths, so around 25% of all deaths were in the US. Um, in terms of infection rate, it kept spreading pretty aggressively. So in US, we had 1,831,730 cases. And the world had 6,376,822 cases. Now, 1 month later, we see the death decreasing, but we still have like over 20,000 deaths at 128,684 deaths in July 2nd. And when we see at the same time the total death in the world, it's 519,575 deaths. So, around 20% of the 25% of deaths were in the US, so that ratio is maintained. In terms of cases, uh, we had like 1 million more cases from June 2nd to July 2nd. And we have 2,735,339 cases. Um, and in the world, you have 10,835,092 cases. Um, so cases are proliferating, but the death ratio is constant. Uh, between U.S. and the world. U.S. is about 20 to 25% of all world COVID-19 deaths. You go to August 2nd, COVID-19 cases in the summer spread pretty aggressively. So about 30, almost 30,000 new cases in 1 month in the summer from July to August for death. There are almost 30,000 deaths in the U.S. So in August 2nd, we have 154,841 deaths in US compared to world death of 687,930. So still the ratio is around 25%, close to 25% of all world death is in the US. In terms of cases, we had 2 million more cases from July to August. So it's growing exponentially. So we have 4,665,932 cases in the US. In the world, you have 18,002,567 cases on August 2nd. We see COVID-19 is a 365 days a year virus because it just keeps infecting and killing every day of the year. That's why it's never going to go away. It's going to be here 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. So I suggest the U.S. Department of Defense to work on a nice mask that would allow us to eat without getting infected, because you take off your mask to eat, you don't get infected, right? If there's COVID around. So U.S. Department of Defense needs to create these masks that we can wear as we eat and drink. Um, they need to do it because it's not going to go away, right? Um, yeah, I don't believe the liberal media that keeps lying to us and says, you know, we're going to have a vaccine in October. We don't have a vaccine in October. We don't even have a vaccine in November. Yeah, so we got to deal with realities in life. We can create masks, better masks, next generation masks, but we need to have a budget, and we need to have researchers, and we have to have the incentive and the infrastructure to create these masks for 330 million American citizens so we can survive COVID. Um, Now we are at September 2nd, um, and we have 185,704 deaths. So 30,000 people, over 30,000 people died in August. But almost 30,000 people died in July, right? So a lot of people died in the summer in America. It's not like summer, you know, with decrease in deaths, right? So on September 2nd, we have 185,704 deaths compared to world's 687,930 deaths. So still we're maintaining a ratio of about 25% of all world deaths ending up in the US, right? So on September 2nd, we have 6,113,160 cases. And the world has 25,934,466 cases. Um, in October 2nd, the death rate kind of was decreased, right? And I talked about that. I said the first peak is from March to June. Second peak is from or March to May. Second peak is from June to August. Third peak is from like September to December. Uh, it's the first wave. The wave never went away, right? It's not a second wave. It's the first wave. It's just been around. Uh, so we have one wave and just the peaks in one wave. Um, yeah, yeah. So because it's a 365 days a year, it doesn't go away, right? It's just always there. Um, so October 2nd, we have 207,000. So about, you know, over 20,000 deaths. Still, it's a lot, you know. It's not as much as in August, but it's still a lot. So over 20,000 deaths in 1 month. So 207,867 deaths in the US. In the world, we have 1,024,426 deaths. So around 20%. So we're still between 20 to 25% of world's deaths being in the US. Um, yeah, so you know, in terms of cases, we have 7,282,027 cases. And in the world, we had 34,374,469 cases. Now we are at November 2nd, and more than 20,000 cases have come. So we have more death now in October than in September. So we are at 300 or 231,320 deaths, whereas the world has 1,203,958 deaths. So between 20 to 25% of the death in the world is in the U.S. In terms of cases, we have 9,268,896 cases in America. In the world, we have 46,834,000 or 46,834,826 cases in the world. So as you can see from this graph, there was no point since the start of the pandemic where we did not have proliferation of cases and proliferation of death, right? I mean, there was small increase, but small decrease, but never like a big drop off, right? You look at the figures, right? It's a constant rise, constant rise. At some point, it's going to hit an exponential curve. It's going to go up. So we're getting like what, 20 to 40, 50, 20 to 50,000 deaths per month. At a certain point, it's going to go to like hundreds of over 100,000 deaths per month. And at a certain point, we're going to hit a curve where it's going to be like a million deaths per month. So that's coming. Um, it's any kind of compound interest growth. You could calculate this in terms of like compound interest growth, exponential growth. So we know what's coming in the future. Yeah, I mean, if you're a lucky man, you marry a beautiful woman like that. Have sex with your wife every day, enjoy her body. That was meant by God for you to enjoy. Obviously, you shouldn't have sex with any other woman. You should have a lot of sex with your wife. Because husband and wife are supposed to enjoy each other's bodies, company, and the New Testament actually requires husband to give sex to the woman on demand, and also the woman to give husband sex on demand. Whether you feel like it or not, whether you have headache or not, you're supposed to give your husband or your wife sex if she wants it or he wants it. So sex is an important part of Christian theology and teaching. And the pleasure of sex obviously was created by God. God created the penis. God created the vagina. God created the clitoris of women and all the sensual organs or sensual like breasts and nipples and sensual sensations in your body. These were all created by God for you to enjoy in the context of a marriage, right? So in the context of marriage, you should have a lot of sex between husband and wife, procreate, have a lot of children, because more children you have, more love you have. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So COVID-19 is here. COVID-19 is most likely forever. It's never going to go away. Um, so you have to find your happiness, you know, um, when you can, right? And obviously, if you marry a woman who's that beautiful, you can have a lot of happiness for a long time. Um, and most women can be very beautiful. They have to be thin. You have to make sure you keep your body weight down. Do not have ice cream. Do not have cake. Do not have sweet things, right? Unnecessarily, maybe once a month. Gotta keep your weight down. That's like half the battle. I mean, don't skip meals. Eat something like a banana or apple, a sandwich. You're not gonna get fat if you eat, just like a sandwich for a meal, right? Um, yeah, you gotta keep your weight down. That's like half the battle. Um, yeah. So, will COVID-19 pandemic take your marital bliss away forever? Well, I have a friend. Emily Norris was due to get married in December, like this December. I mean, she was engaged. and she was supposed to be married in December in California, Bakersfield, where her parents are from. And she's from our Clinical Nurse Leader Program, CNL 2020 at Georgetown, where I was a full-time student for 2 years. CNL 2020, yay! Georgetown University CNL program, yay! Yay, yay, yay! Yeah, Emily's great. I really like Emily. Emily would always introduce herself as, my name is Emily Norris, like Chuck Norris, and like Chuck Norris, Chuck Norris is a good Republican. Uh, you know, um, I've basically been a lifelong Republican. And I'm running as an independent for U.S. Congress of Virginia's 8th District. So I'm not Republican or Democrat in this election, but I've been a lifelong Republican. And so whenever Emily introduced herself as I'm Emily Norris, like Chuck Norris, I really like that. Emily, I don't think she's a Republican, but she should be. But she's Presbyterian, She's yeah. So we kind of share that in common. And she was in my group when I worked as a student nurse for Arlington County Public Schools or Arlington County Department of Health. So I went around in Arlington County to Yorktown High School, different schools in Arlington to work as a nurse or work with a nurse as a nursing student. So I got to meet a lot of school nurses, like in Yorktown School Nurse, she's really nice, Yorktown High School, and different schools, throughout Arlington County. So that was in basically January to May 2020. So in the middle of our clinical, we everything shut down. Georgetown University shut down because of COVID-19. But Emily Norris, she was in my clinical group um, with Ying Fu McMillan, my best buddy. Ying is from China. She went to University of California, San Diego, and fell in love with a white boy and married him. So that's why she has McMillan now as her name. And Ying is her first name. Fu is last name. They're a cute couple. They're a very, very cute couple. I'm happy they found each other. And Yeah, so she was in our group. Lena Knorr, she's German, or her family is from immigrants from Germany. I think Lena might have been born in Germany too. And Lena went to German school in New York and teaches at German school in Washington, D.C. And so she was a German PhD student who decided to come to clinical nurse leader program. So she was in my clinical group as well. Um, at the Arlington County Public Schools, Arlington County Department of Health, where we did our public health nursing. So like global pandemic, COVID-19, this is the kind of thing, we deal with in public health. But when we started in January, that wasn't a big issue. So we were focusing on improving Arlington County nurses and like nurses office um, in order to provide, healthcare access to all Arlington County students. And we're focusing on especially zip code 22204 because this is I guess, the poorest zip code in Arlington County, with the greatest health discrepancy. And that's my zip code. I live in 22204. So our clinical instructor, Professor Lorraine Spencer, who was a school nurse at Wakefield High School, which is like a mile away from where I live, and I taught there in the summer school. So I have an Arlington County Public Schools teacher ID card and email account. Um, yeah, so I worked as a nurse, and Professor Lorraine Spencer, she was saying, yeah, you gotta focus on zip code 22204 because that's the poorest area in Arlington County. So yeah, that's where I live, So I'm talking about my neighborhood here. But so I was glad to do research to improve 22204 in Arlington, which is considered the poorest neighborhood in Arlington, I guess. Um, yeah, I'm like helping my neighbors. um, yeah, and so Lena Knorr, Emily Norris, Yingpo McMillan, me, and Sena Musa was also in our group. Sena Musa. Um, I guess she went to the HBCU, historically black colleges and universities in Atlanta, Georgia, which is so. So she went there as a bachelor student. She's brilliant, genius. She's really really smart, and she actually was our class representative for 2 years. Yeah, we all really liked her. And so she gave the speech at the graduation. And she gave an amazing speech. I could see her running for like U.S. House of Representatives or something, or U.S. Congress, or U.S. U.S. House of Representatives is the same thing as U.S. Congress, or like U.S. Senate or maybe governor. So if she run for U.S. Congress, and if she wins and I win, we'll be like there together in the Congress. Um, yeah, I like Sarah. And yeah, so we are like, we also had in our political group, um, Claire Paoletta. Claire Paoletta, her family lives in Falls Church. They've always lived in Falls Church. And Claire Paoletta went to Georgetown Prep for high school. That's like, I guess it's Georgetown Prep. I guess that's the name, Georgetown Preparatory. It's like the all women's school on Georgetown University campus. And then she went to Fordham University and played varsity soccer for the university. And then she came, as soon as she graduated, she came to Georgetown to do the CNL 2020 program. So she was also in my program, and her father and mother lives in Falls Church. They very active Catholic Christians, in the local parish, and so yeah, so that was our clinical group, and it was really, really, really good. I was the only guy. I, you know, I like women. I like women far more than I like men. So, so I was like very happy throughout the whole clinical session, just like because I like women, you know, and they're all pretty, the Ying Fu McMillan is married, but other than that, none of them are married, right? And they're all beautiful, like physically beautiful. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie, they're all physically beautiful, so I guess I should consider myself like luckiest man on earth, right? I had clinicals with like all these beautiful women, single women. Well, they're not single per se because um, Emily has a boyfriend from her childhood. She got engaged to during our, and then she's planning to get married in December. Um, yeah, and I think others, they have their romance life as well. But I think Emily is the one. I think she's the only one with a very serious relationship. Oh no, no, no! Actually, Lena Knorr has a boyfriend. Um, she's very serious with, and yeah, that's a pretty interesting story. How they met, but it's always I love learning about how couples meet. Um, but yeah, I mean, everybody's, I mean, I like being in a clinical with them. They're all nice. Um, yeah, so you're, yeah, CNL 2020, yay, we did it, yeah, we graduated from Georgetown University on August 24th, 2020, yay. So yeah, my cohort members, like me a lot too. We're like a family. There are 25 of us who graduated on August 24th. We started out with like 34, but like 10 people like dropped out of the program. So it became 24, and then Bill, he was in the previous cohort, but he served 1 year in the military. So like Somalia, he like some kind of secret mission. He went to U.S. Naval Academy, was an officer in the U.S. Navy for like 20 years, and then they commissioned him for 1 year. So he went and did some secret mission stuff in Somalia, came back, finished off his second year with us. So 10 people have left out of 34, and then Billy joined us, so we had 25 graduating. Um, yeah, yeah, everybody's nice. There were three guys in the whole program. The graduation, at graduation, we had Billy from Texas. He's black, uh, black and proud. He has Texan flag. Very proud to be Texan. He's very, very proud to be black, which is good. You should be proud of whatever race you are. I'm proud to be Korean. Uh, you know, Ed Moseng used to call me the crazy Korean, KK. Did Ed call me that? Somebody called me that. Um, yeah, anyway, Ed used to call himself like, I'm white trash. I'm like, no, you're not. It's like, yes, I am. I'm white trash. I'm like, man, it's awkward when your friend tells you like he's white trash. I'm like, why would you call yourself white trash? But I guess, Ed was like, most white people are white trash. We don't care. That's what we are. We're proud of it. No, he didn't say that, but it was half joking, but he's a nice guy. He married Karen Nettleton, who was elementary school teacher from Fairfax County Public School. I think she taught like over 10 years in Fairfax County Public Schools. So yeah, so Karen Nettleton married Ed Musang. I bet a lot of the nurses at Virginia Hospital Center where I work, they probably know Karen. Like either their children had Karen as a teacher, or they went to her church, which is a Lutheran church in this area. I think she went to Lutheran church in either Falls Church or Fairfax County. Well, Falls Church is in Fairfax County, but yeah. I think she went to Missouri Synod Lutheran Church. How many of them are there? There can't be that many Missouri Synod Lutheran churches in this area. It's a very conservative Lutheran church. It's an evangelical Lutheran church. So all Protestant churches have like liberal faction and conservative faction and fundamentalist faction, like every single one. So you have fundamentalist the Baptists, but you also have fundamentalist Lutherans. You have fundamentalist Presbyterians. You have fundamentalist church, like Christian Church or Church of Christ. You have fundamentalist Pentecostals. And so every type of Christianity has a liberal side and a very conservative side, moderate side, and an extreme like right wing fundamentalist side. Yeah, so that's one thing that is characteristic of American Christian, and that's like that with Catholicism as well, right? You have kind of liberal faction, but you have moderate factions, and you have conservative faction. You have like a fundamentalist faction too. So yeah, but I tell you, whether the guy is liberal, conservative, moderate, or fundamentalist, they all want to marry a woman who looks like that. You know what I mean? We're wired that way. God created us this, so what can we say? We're created in the way God wanted us to be created. So, yeah. Um, yeah, so make sure if you're a woman, you keep your physical form because that's the most important thing for a guy. There's nothing more important, except for like cooking. Because the saying, way to a man's heart is through his stomach, and that's absolutely true. Um, yeah, I mean, the most important thing for a woman is that she looks like that. That's like, I would say that's like very, very important. That's like 70% of what men want in a woman. And then other 30% is that she cooks well. Other things after that, it's like, 0.01%, they're not that important. Yeah, I mean, I'm just telling you how it is, like for most men. I mean, they'll lie to you and say, oh, most important thing for me is your personality, blah, 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 blah. They'll lie to you. Men don't think like that. I know women are different from men, thank God, because I'm like, I'm not fat, I'm overweight, you know. I don't have that much hair. That's why I have this fake hair now, you know. Uh, so thank God women don't care about how you look. you know. I'm like, thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you, Lord Jesus. So I can marry a beautiful woman who looks like that because woman who looks like that, they're not looking for a guy who's like a model. Um, so yeah, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah. So anyway, Yeah, so here are some beautiful women, right? You see your competition, right? These are the women you have to compete with if you want to enjoy happy marriage, right? I mean, life is competition. People say, some people like to say life is not a competition, but that's like bull. Life is a competition because one guy can only marry one woman, right? You know what I'm saying? It's competition. Life is always a competition. So, you know, I can only marry one woman, and so I don't know who I'm going to end up marrying. I just don't know, But whoever ends up getting married to me is very lucky, luckiest woman alive, But yeah, I'm kind of curious, who I will end up marrying. Um, yeah, let's see, maybe if I if things develop, somewhere, maybe I'll share that with you. I'll keep you updated on what's happening. Um, yeah. Um, COVID-19 is forever. So I don't know if the show will be forever, but I'll try to keep you updated about what's going with COVID because liberal media lies to you. You need like direction to survive COVID. Um, so where are you going to turn for like truth and information you need to survive? This shows it basically, right? COVID-19 update by Heerak Daily Show. Um, yeah, but today is an anniversary issue, so let's not get too serious. There's time to be serious, there's time to be not. But look at the women's stomachs. So let's talk about what's important here. Like for you women out there who want to get married, um, most men like to have take their girl to a beach because I mean, Christians, you're not supposed to have sex before marriage, so right? So most Christian men are not going to see their girlfriend naked. They shouldn't, right? Ideally, like you're having sex after marriage, so you should not see your girlfriend naked before marriage, right? For Christians, right? So that's the ideal. But like closer to marriage, guys before they propose want to see how the woman is, and like going to the beach gives you kind of a, kind of an approximation or certain swimsuits actually give you a clear vision of what the body's like, right? Because body's very important to men, so that's why. So guys generally like to go and kind of see the body of the woman that they're dating or wanting to marry. Um, and look at the stomach, right? That's the ideal stomach, right? I mean, when you hit 26 for women, that's like what downhill from there. Even if you exercise like a mad woman, it's hard to keep a stomach like that. And everything starts sagging. Even the skin around your stomach starts sagging. So you see how the skin around the stomach looks kind of taut. It's like it's tight around the waist. Once you pass 26, the skin around your waist doesn't stick to your body like that, to your muscles. You start sagging. So you have like little sagging. So like if you're watching this show alone at home, just like look at your belly. Lift up your shirt and then look at your belly. You don't have to sit down because everybody when they sit down, they have a little pinch and inch kind of thing. So you stand up and like lift up your shirt and look at your stomach and see if your stomach looks like that. You know, um, even women who are thin, you past 26, your stomach doesn't look like that anymore because your skin starts to sag. You see what I'm saying? Your skin is sagging. So you see the skin there, it's like very taut. It's like sticking to the muscles in the abdomen. It's not like that anymore. You're going to have like little bumpy, it's not going to look as beautiful like that. So when we're talking about appreciating the beauty of the feminine form, you could appreciate it superficially and say, oh, she looks nice. Oh, she's hot. Or you could appreciate it like inch by inch or millimeter by millimeter. You compare the consistency of the skin, like the woman who's standing there with a beach volleyball. You can like kind of, where is her center line? Is everything like symmetric? Is the left and right, are they matching? How some girls have one bigger eye than the other. Have you seen that? Like one bigger breast than the other. Most women, they say breasts are not the same size. one is always bigger than the other. And you can compare, I mean, if you're a woman alone at home, you could compare the two breasts to see, if they're equal size. They're probably not. They, they say it's not generally equal. But you don't want it to be like one is like really, really big and one is, kind of like you don't want like visible differences, right, in your breasts, right? Because that's kind of weird. Just kind of like, if one of your eyes is much bigger than the other, it's a little bit weird, you know what I'm saying? But what can you do? Only God is perfect. Human beings are not perfect. So there's going to be imperfections. And that's why you use your hair to like hide your eyes. Your eyes like too big. You hide your eye, one of your eyes that's much too big or too small. You hide it a little bit like with your hair, grow your hair. And then you can like do what you can to you know, compensate for your flaws, right? And that's what makeup is for, right? For those of you women who are using makeup, you use makeup to shade something a little bit more, so if you have one eye that's bigger than the other, you could use eyeliner or whatever to try to balance it out. So obviously, if you're a woman and you're not married, you must spend a lot of time on your beauty because, as I said, the most important thing for a man is woman's physical beauty. There's nothing more important than woman's physical beauty, meaning the face, but the body is also very important because there are women who are physically, like facially pretty, but their body is really, really like she let herself go. She's been eating that Haagen-Dazs ice cream every time she got depressed, and apparently she got depressed often. Um, yeah, so it shows in the body, right? And so we talked about women being pear-shaped, like different women body shapes. So pear-shaped is like this kind of shape, right? You know, it's like, it's like thin, kind of thin on the top, but your bottom is like really big. It's like pear-shaped. It's like pear-shaped. It's hard to do with a hand, but it's like this. It's like this, but with like little neck on the top. So body's like kind of really wide. Um, so that's like a pear-shaped body. Obviously, the best body is like an hourglass body, right? It's like an hourglass. And you see the girl with the volleyball, that's kind of like an hourglass body. Do you see that? It's like this. It's curvaceous, right? It's an hourglass body, and you compare one side, one angle. You measure the angle, like what's the angle of her waistline? What's the other angle? Are they symmetric? So you compare and you contrast that, you try to see different, you could appreciate a woman's body inch by inch. You can look at the skin around the abdomen and how it is taut around the abdomen, and there's beauty in that, right? And the skin around the belly button, skin around the upper abdomen, right? It's very, very taut. Like her arm, it's like kind of like taut, right? It's not like hanging down like a turkey's neck, right? I don't know if you've seen that. Like as women get older, you have arm that looks like turkey's neck. And I mean that's a natural process of aging. So there's really nothing you can do with that, really, right? For most people, it's just natural process of aging. So it's not. You can't say it's a bad thing. But ideally, you're married by the time you have like turkey's neck in your arm. You see what I'm saying? So that's where the smart woman differentiates herself from a dumb woman, right? The smart woman marries at the height of her beauty, like the woman with the volleyball. She doesn't wait until like she's past 26 when her height of her physical beauty is gone and she can no longer get the men that she wants. You don't want to wait that long, right? You want to get married like between 18 to 22 when you could probably get most men or almost all the men you want. That's when you want to get married, 18 to 22. I mean, if you graduate from high school at 16, there's no reason why you shouldn't get married at 16. If you don't go to college or you work, you can marry your college sweetheart at 16. If you're in college as a 16-year-old and you fall in love with like an 18-year-old, you can get married and study while being married, right? Many college students do that. But anyway, the ideal day, age to get married is like 18 to 22. That's like smart women will try to nab the guy of her dreams in that period, 18 to 22. Um, and you know, and those are the smart ones, right? But not everybody's smart. Not everybody is destined for happiness. But in a way, it's up to you to grab the happiness, right? You cannot wait for happiness to come to you because soon you're not going to be 22 anymore, right? You need to try to get married between 18 to 22. At the latest, like 26. Because after 26, it's all downhill. Like skin around the abdomen starts sagging. Your not only skin around your breasts are sagging, the whole breast muscles start sagging, right? Like it could come from like your chest all the way down to your belly button almost, you know? You might have seen that, like it starts sagging. Um, so yeah, so there are things that you need to do before you get there, right? Because once you're married, uh, you kind of like whooped your husband, you whooped your boyfriend into marrying you, right? You've won, right? In this game of in the battle of sexes, the moment you're married, the guy has lost, right? That's the whole point when we talk about battle of sexes, right? The man wants to just stay aloof and not marry you, just enjoy you, but could dump you at any time. That's what men want, right? So in the battle of sexes, victory is when a woman gets the man to marry her, put a ring on him. It's like slave ring, right? Um, so that's when a woman has won in the battle of sexes, when the guy has committed to her in marriage. It's like legally, even if he leaves you, like you keep 50% of everything he owns. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's like a financial windfall if he leaves you. So I mean, you've won in every aspect, right? You won because now you get to keep 50% of everything he has if he leaves you. you know, I mean, it's like consolation prize is bigger than the prize itself. No, I'm just joking. But obviously you don't want to get divorced. You want to stay married. But um, yeah, so you have to be a smart person. You have to try to marry like from 18 to 22, right? And because once your beauty goes, your options grow, right? Because women are willing to marry men who are fat, like me. I'm kind of fat, but women like me for some reason. Um, but men are not like that. Men don't want to marry a fat woman. I don't want to be mean about it. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but somebody needs to tell you the truth. What can I say? Uh, we live in a world of lies. Everybody lies to you, and you probably feel that way that everybody's lying to you, and they are. Because everybody's trying to like not step on people's toes, so they lie to you, right? They're like, yeah, men like fat women, but that's not true. Men don't like fat women. I mean, there may be like deviant or exceptional cases where men like fat women, but that's like very rare, very very rare, very very rare. Um. So yeah. What can I tell you? I don't want to lie to you. I want you to have all the facts. Don't believe in the liberal media. You know, um, you can say, well, I want everyone to stop fat shaming, but that's not going to make you a happy person, right? Like if you actually lose your weight, then you can marry the man you want, right? You can't force a guy to marry you when you're fat. You know, I mean, what are you going to make it? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Guys are attracted to physical beauty, so you need to lose weight. That's very very important for men, for women. Um, Obviously, you're gonna, you have to use what you got. But if you can lose your weight, you should lose your weight. And I said, try to marry between 18 to 22, because every woman gains weight after 26. Just you gain 5 pounds, you gain 40 pounds. That's the difference. Um, yeah, there are women, and there's so many beautiful women, and men can only marry one, right? Obviously, a dumb woman gets used and chopped, right? Used and chopped. Bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. Chop. You know, you don't want to be that woman who gets chopped after usage. It's like toilet paper. Use it once, throw it away. You don't want to be that toilet paper that gets used and thrown away, right? Because in that case, you number one lost the battle of sexes. Number two, geez, you know, why would you want to be used by a guy like that? You know, and you know, it's going to hurt your self-esteem. And there's always like this repeat process. You know, these women who have boyfriends and they end up with bad boyfriends, they get used and dumped by like boyfriend after boyfriend. It's like, you know, I mean, their nickname is like toilet paper, you know? Wipe and chalk, wipe and chalk, wipe and chalk, wipe and chalk, wipe, chalk, wipe, chalk, wipe, chalk, wipe, chalk, wipe, chalk. You know, you don't want to be that woman who gets wiped and chalked. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you gotta be smart. Let's not get wiped and chalked. Let's be a smart woman who gets the guy of her dreams, right? Gets her prince charming. You have limited time, 18 to 22, to to get the woman man of your dreams, right? Um, yeah. So yeah, use it wisely. Your time period. Um, yeah, it's all about strategy. It's about planning, right? It's like, you know, when you want to get into college, you know, those who plan and prepare, they get into better college than others. Same thing with getting the guy. Um, I like the girl in the middle the best. You know, I guess because she's wearing a Confederate bikini. You know, I have a thing for Confederacy. I live in Virginia. You know, I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th district. I love the Confederate flag. My hero is Stonewall Jackson, um, who considered it his mission in life for Christ to kill as many Union soldiers in Civil War. Uh, he he said he's bringing glory to God by being faithful in his duties. I mean, obviously, he was fighting in the Confederate side, so his duty is to win the war, and you do that by killing the enemy side, right? But you know, he has the right attitude. Whatever you do, if you're a soldier, you kill, obviously. I'm a nurse, so I heal and save lives. Whatever you do in your profession, you gotta do the best you can, right? I'm not a soldier, so I don't have to heal anybody. But Stonewall Jackson was a soldier, so that's what he had to do, right? That's what work is for soldiers in a wartime. So yeah, I love Stonewall Jackson. So you know, I guess that's you know, like I guess what you like also influences you, right? If you like the Eagles, you may like women who like Eagles, you know, more than women who like, you know, LA Rams. You know what I mean? You know, so your preferences also can influence you. So it could be objectively the girl in the volleyball maybe prettier and thinner and has more better body than the girl with the Confederate flag. But just because I love the Confederate flag, uh, any woman who wears anything that's a Confederacy, like T-shirt, swimwear, hat, you know, it draws my attention because that's what I like, you know. So I prefer women who wear Confederate flag to women who don't. You know, you see what I'm saying? And men are like that, you know. And some men like the French flag, some men like Israeli flag, some men like Palestinian flag. You know, different people have different preferences. For me, you know, my favorite, you know, flag is Confederate flag. So you know, my eyes are drawn to that. And any woman who wears Confederate flag, you know, it naturally gets like a bonus points, you know, brownie points, you know. Yeah, I mean, but the girl in a U.S. flag speaking is pretty too. But not as you know, like as I said, you know, I am influenced by my preferences. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So obviously, the purpose of looking beautiful for a smart woman is to get the guy you want. You know, like Prince William, he was immediately drawn to Kate Middleton in a fashion show. Obviously, she's a smart woman, so she entered the fashion show to capture the eyes of the prince. So she wore this see-through black outfit and caught the eye of the prince. And you know, she's thin and pretty. You see Kate Middleton, right? She's thin and pretty, and she's smart. She doesn't play the field, right? She's loyal to Prince William, and she works at pleasing him. And so, and as soon as she got married, the very first thing is to have a child, and she has like three children. She's a smart woman. You have to be smart to ensure your own happiness, and Kate Middleton is a good example of that. Because children bind the marriage, and also you can manipulate the guy through your children. Yeah, you can. A smart woman will use the children to leverage the children to ensure that the husband doesn't stray, right? So if the husband is like, oh, I have this business meeting to go to, you could say, well, our daughter is having a performance in the school. Don't you think that's more important? So you like bring him out of the social context where he could meet other women, single women. You see what I'm saying? So smart women uses children as a leverage to reduce the time that their husband will have opportunity to meet single women in a social context in like quote free time. So you boggle down your husband's free time with your children's activities. So that's a ploy that women can use, smart women use it. Why is this good? Number one, because your children do need their father, right? So attention. So you're kind of helping your children develop well psychologically. Secondly, your husband loves his children, but he has his penis that sometimes thinks for him. So he likes to meet single women, even if he's married, that's how all guys are. All guys, if you give him the chance, they'll cheat on you, Christian or not, even pastors. And so guys have, this conflicting motivations, right? Their penis thinks for them, so they want to go to, without even subconsciously, they want to go to opportunities where they'll meet like pretty single women. They may not thinking consciously, but their subconscious thinking with their penis. Um, so, but they regret it. Men who cheat on their wife generally regret doing it. Not when they're doing the sex and enjoying the body of a beautiful 20-year-old, but afterwards when they feel guilty. Now, and obviously, men can be like children, right? They do it and then they feel guilty later about it. We can prevent all that by, getting your child, your husband to be so involved in, activities of your children that he has no other time, outside of work. But, at the end of the, you know, 10, 20 years when your children grow up, your husband is going to thank you for it because you kind of force him to come to all this stuff, right? Instead of going to other social outlets. And so, smart woman, also makes her husband happy in the long run. In the short run, he may be resentful, but you manipulate him by talking about the importance of fatherhood and children. I mean, control, power control sometimes involve manipulation. What can you say? Um, and smart women use it to their advantage. Because there's power structure operating in any relationship, right? Husband and wife, children and parents. Um, and so, obviously, you want to make sure there's a balance there. Um, yeah. So, so you wanna make sure that you have the loyalty of your husband, right? So there's a delicate balance, right? You don't want to look like you're like, you know. So you have to do it in a way that keeps your husband loyal to you, right? Emotionally as well. So and I guess that's part of management, right? When you are a businessman, you want the loyalty of your employees because you can't make them into slaves, right? You have to convince them to be voluntarily loyal to you, right? And President Trump is actually very good at that. I think he's very good manager, meaning he has a good balance between his own. He works hard. You have to agree with me. President Trump works really hard um, to get loyalty. He works hard. He has high expectations, but he works hard to get people's loyalty. So I think people understand that, and I think average Americans they like that about Trump. Because he's a hard worker. He has a like Protestant work ethic. He's a workaholic. and he's going to be a workaholic for you. And I think American people like that about President Trump. Um, like President Obama doesn't impress you as a workaholic. I mean, I'm sure he is. He's a brilliant guy, but he doesn't come off looking like a workaholic. I mean, President Trump, is a workaholic. He's like tweeting at 2 a.m. in the morning, right? He's like really focused on winning this election. He's tweeting like 24 hours a day, you know. So people kind of look at that, and even his enemies kind of respect him for it. They'll never say they do, but they do. Because they know he's working really hard to get reelected. Um, and that's why, my prediction is that there will be a landslide victory for President Trump. I mean, I could be wrong, but let's see. We're only one day away. We'll find out if President Trump won by a landslide or not. But that's my prediction is that President Trump will win by landslide. Because I think people appreciate his workaholic nature because they're not used to like managers working so hard. They're not used to like CEOs working so hard, especially to please the workers, like who are the voters in our situation, right? And so that's why I think President Trump's going to win by landslide because people who work hard they appreciate that. They appreciate the fact that President Trump is working so hard. And he's trying so hard to like win your loyalty and try to like President Trump impresses you as someone who's trying to help you, right? That's the image that he projects. And so I think that goes over well with the American people. He doesn't look like he's pontificating uh, with no reason, right? And he seems to work harder than like an average American, you know? He projects that image. And so I think American people like that. Black people like it, Hispanics like it, white people like it, Asians like it. People like to see like hardworking person, but especially hardworking president. And he projects that image. Um, yeah. I mean, let's see. But going back to our theme here, will COVID-19 pandemic take your marital bliss away forever? Well, there is that danger for you women out there right now. If you're 18 to 26, we're not living in a normal time and we're not going to ever go back to normal. You have to face that. So in a sense, if you're a woman 18 to 26, you have to cut your losses, right? If you have a boyfriend now who you're serious with, you have to manipulate the situation so he'll propose and then you get married. You just have to find that. Most likely you cannot have a big wedding, even if you want to. You have to accept that fact because it's a global pandemic. So you may have to have like a small ceremony like what Romeo and Juliet had. Your priest, you and your fiance, and maybe maybe your father and mother and his father and mother, you know. But you have to be smart because the goal is to get that ring on his finger, right? Because once you get the ring on the guy's finger, you control him for life. If he leaves you, he has to give you 50% of everything he owns. So you own him. Literally, you own him. So that's where you want to be. So that has to be your goal during global pandemic. So will COVID-19 pandemic take your marital bliss away forever? It can. Because after 26, women are kind of not as desirable for marriage. That's how most men think. Um, and most men assume that a single woman who's older than 26 has some kind of problem. That's why she's not married. So that's why most average men assume, from the start. So from like the moment you mention you're 27 or 28, you got like strikes against you. The guy's gonna assume like, man, she's 27 and she's not married. She must have something wrong. So he's gonna look for something that's wrong. And that's like 99% of the men. I like that. Yeah, I mean, what can you do? So if you're over 26, you're in a red zone. You may never have marital bliss ever in your life. That's a possibility you have to deal with. You may have to bring down your standards several notches, because the quality men that you want no longer want you because you're like past 26. Yeah, I mean, 90% of the quality men don't want women over 26. Um, I mean, that's men are shallow. Men can always date women younger. So yeah, so obviously it's up to the women to guard their marital bliss, right? Because you know that the flaws in men mean that once you pass 26, you're no longer going to be as desirable to 90% of the men or more. You know the time is ticking. That you want to get married before 26. And as I said, you pass 26, they even start assuming that you have some kind of psychological or social problem if you're not married after 26 as a woman. Um, and they're not going to throw away that prejudice. They're going to have the prejudice like from the day they meet you until like you die. You know what I mean? For decades. I mean, men are shallow. They're not going to be, they're lazy. They're just going to assume, and they're going to move on. Um, yeah. So if you're a woman, it's up to you to ensure your marital bliss. If you're after 26, you're in the emergency zone. You can use one of three strategies. Number one, you lower the rate. You lowered your standard significantly. So whereas you wanted to marry a 10 out of 10 men, you have to say I'm willing to marry 5 out of 10 men. You know what I'm saying? You have to lower your standard, or you're never going to have marital bliss. What can you do? Uh, right? That's if you're past 26. You have no choice. That's what you have. One of the things you have to do. A second thing you can do is if there is a boyfriend you dated before, you can always manipulate the situation to get him to marry you. That's a second strategy. Obviously, you don't want to spend too much time, right? Because men lose interest. So you gotta give a time period of about like 3 months. If he doesn't propose you by 3 months, just move away, move along. You already know him. He already knows you. If he's not going to propose you in 3 months, he's never going to propose to you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there can be exceptions to the rule, or he may propose you because he has no other options, but he's not going to propose you because he wants to propose to you if he doesn't do it within 3 months. Um, so you got to put a time limit. I say maximum 3 months, because and you could just be open with him. You could say, we've known each other for a while, and I think we may be good for each other. You could drop the hint there, and let the guy think about it. Guys are simple. You have to be kind of explicit, and then they'll think about it. And then you gotta ask them. You want to get married? Yeah. If you pass 26, you have to maybe take that initiative. You can't wait for the guy to ask you to marry him. That's like 18 to 22. If you're 26, you're like over the hill. So so that's something you have to think seriously about. And people may not have told you the truth because some people they don't want you to get angry. They don't want you to yell at them. So they may just not tell you the truth. Your brother, your father, your male friends, they may not tell you the truth just because you're over 26 and they're afraid like you'll start screaming at them. Um, you know, but you do need to understand what's going on, right? You do need to know the truth. And if you're not 26 yet, you have to know what's coming, right? Because if nobody tells you, you don't know, right? But this is something that all guys know. We don't talk about it. We just all know. I mean, obviously we could talk about it, but guys don't really like talking to each other. We like watching football together. We could talk about the game, but not like talk about romance. Guys don't do that. Guys are not girls, right? Um, I'm just trying to watch out for you. If you do not have a body like one of these women on the photo, yeah, I mean, you know, you need to prioritize getting married. I mean, geez, women with these bodies, looking that good, they probably don't have much to worry as long as they do need to take active steps to get married between like 18 to 22. But if you don't have a body like that or face like that, geez, you have to assess yourself. You have to be honest with yourself and assess what you are. Like out of 10, are you like a 7? Are you a 5? Are you a 4? You have to assess yourself honestly, and then you have to take proactive steps. I mean, you may be able to get a 10 out of 10 guy, even though you're 5 out of 10, if you're 18 to 22. But you have to take proactive steps to get there, you know? Because guys are lazy, and guys have like short attention spans, when it comes to romance. So, you know, you have to make the effort, yeah. So lower the number, like you give yourself. If you give yourself 10 out of 10, you look like that. You probably don't have to make that much effort. You just have to kind of steer him, in the right direction, and you can get married to a guy you want. But if you're like 5 out of 10, you give yourself 5 out of 10 rating, then you probably have to do a lot of work to get married, a lot of work. And this is like during non-COVID-19 era. So during COVID-19 era, you're out of luck. No, I'm not gonna lie, like the liberal media, I'm gonna tell you the truth. You're out of luck. Because when there's no COVID-19, you have more opportunities to meet people. But now during COVID-19, you just don't have the opportunity. So you have to take matters into your own hands and make marital bliss happen. Remember, your time is ticking. That's the most important thing you got to remember. 18 to 22 is the best. Limit is 26. If you pass 26 as a woman, you're like an old spinster. So remember that. I mean, you may not think you're an old spinster, but I'm talking about other guys. Other guys are thinking, she's 26 and she's not married. What's wrong with her? That's how guys are thinking, right? Because guys know that if they truly love a girl, they'll propose to her like on the first date. Yeah, that's how guys are. If a guy meets a girl like this, you see the girl with the volleyball. If a guy meets like her in the first date, and if he thinks that she'll say yes to a first proposal, they will propose. The reason the guys don't propose is like they don't want to scare her away. Like, they propose and she's like, oh my gosh, she's a weirdo. So they're afraid of that. But if they didn't think that she would run away, they would propose to her on the first date. Guys know what they want, right? Yeah, that's just the way guys are. Like, if they really want you, they will propose to you because they want to own you. It's like a car, you see a nice car, like a guy walks into a dealership, sees a nice car that he loves. He's not going to he's going to buy it. Guys are like that. So if the guy hasn't proposed to you for marriage and you've been dating for 3 years, he doesn't really love you that much. That's what it means, I mean, that's how guys are. Guys, if they love something, they want to own it. They will propose to you. If the guy hasn't proposed to you after 1 year, that means he doesn't love you, enough to marry you. But he's with you because he's lazy. He doesn't want to break up with you and to find another girl. He's lazy. Most guys are lazy. So if the guy hasn't proposed to you after 1 year, yeah, you should probably dump him because he obviously doesn't love you enough to marry you. I mean, you're just wasting your time. You're letting your time beat away. Because you remember, you gotta get married between 18 and 22, at the latest 26. You cannot hold on to a guy like for years and years without a proposal, right? Because guy has he doesn't worry about the time. He's not on a biological clock. Or you are. So it's unfortunate, but women have to take care of the 100% of happiness for themselves. Men are lazy, but fortunately for men, women don't necessarily prioritize looks. They have other priorities. So guys can be lazy. They could let themselves go, but they could end up marrying a girl who looks like that. Because women are different from men, but men are basically the same. They want a girl like that. Doesn't matter if it's 18, it doesn't matter if it's 22, 25, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 80, 90, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm happy to share truth with you because I want everybody in Virginia's 8th District to be happy. And there's just too many lies going around with the media and feminists. They always push around lies, and that perpetuates unhappiness in the world. I like to see my constituents happy. And Virginia's 8th District, we have like over 800,000 people. I want all of you to be happy. And marital bliss is probably the most important thing in your life to ensure your lifetime of happiness. So why mess around with that? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm happy to share this very, very, very important information with you, both Christians and non-Christians alike, because men are men. Yeah. So yeah, are you happy you watched this show? If you don't watch this show, you wouldn't really understand all this stuff, right? There's just so many feminist lies out there, and you may believe in them, but I mean, how much do women really know about men? Can you really trust what feminists say about men? No, I don't think so. Um, yeah. So, well, I'm glad that you joined me for today's 7-month anniversary show. I hope that you will be well. And if you're married, your children will be well too. If you're not married, hey, you gotta prioritize marital bliss. What can I tell you? Um, I hope that you will have a happy romance life and happy life. But remember, it's up to you to ensure that happens, right? If you're a single woman, it's up to you. You gotta do 100% of the work, unfortunately. At least to the point that you get married. Once you get married, your husband's kind of like a slave. So kind of, order him around, you know, because he's like your slave after, you put a ring on him. Yeah, I mean, I'm being facetious, but, there's always truth in jokes, right? Yeah. So anyway, I hope that you will find your happiness and that you will be a smart woman. Um, yeah. Um, yeah. So, tune in tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And in the meanwhile, I hope you be well. Bye.